Very good morning to you all, and after a long break, welcome in the second class of sex offenses. In the previous class, we have discussed a few definitions, including what do you mean by sex offense, what is sexual violence and sexual assault, whom will you call a survivor, and who is actually a victim of sexual assault. And also in the last class, we have discussed the classification of sex offenses, and we have started rape, and we have discussed the definition of rape in section 375 IPC, punishment of rape in section 376 IPC, along with few legal sections related with rape and sexual assault. Now in this class we will discuss what is actually our duty, that is the duties of a doctor in a case of alleged victim or survivor of either rape or sexual violence cases. So from this class it starts our duty. আগের ক্লাসে যতটুকু বলেছিলাম that was more or less related with the legal authorities, with police, lawyers and court. But in this class we will discuss what is the responsibility of a medical officer during examination of a survivor of a sexual assault cases. Please remember, just like an emergency case coming to the casualty of an hospital, sexual abuse victim or survivor also to be treated as a priority case, and the victim or the survivor should be seen in all health facilities, that means clinics, nursing homes, hospital. Whenever she comes, whether it's a hospital or a nursing home, you have to examine the survivor and you have to prepare a report, and that report should be forwarded to the police station having jurisdiction over that particular area. So whether it is a nursing home, government or private hospital, you have to examine such cases. And also you know that from the last class you have to provide basic first aid and treatment to the victim of a sexual assault and acid burn cases. Now comes the section 164A CRPC. এটা একটু ভালো করে মনে রাখবে, পরীক্ষায় এটা জিজ্ঞেস করে। 164A CRPC deals with the medical examination of the victim of rape. এখানে victim কথাটা বলা হয়েছে because the CRPC when formed with a particular section, তখন victim কথাটাই প্রচলিত ছিল, survivor কথাটা আসেনি। তাই জন্য এই legal sections এ সব জায়গায় you will notice that only the word victim is mentioned, not the survivor. So section 164A CRPC deals with the medical examination of the victim or survivor of rape or sexual assault cases. কি বলেছে ভালো করে বোঝো। Examination should be conducted without any delay by a registered medical practitioner employed in a government hospital or any other registered medical practitioner with the consent of the victim or a person competent to give consent on her behalf, and she should be sent to registered medical practitioner within 24 hours from the time of receiving information related to the commission of such offense. মানে খুব, if we break it in parts and make it simple, for example, a police officer gets the knowledge that a woman has been sexually assaulted, and the woman comes to the police station. Now within getting that information, within 24 hours of getting that information, it is the responsibility of the police officer to bring the survivor to the medical officer for his medical legal or medical examination. Now who can perform the medical examination? Preferably a registered medical practitioner attached in a government hospital. And if in the nearby area there is no government hospital, any registered medical practitioner can examine such a case if the survivor or the victim gives her consent for such examination. That means consent of the survivor is important for examination, and the doctor, either in a government setup or in a private setup, can examine the survivor or a victim of sexual assault case. It is not mandatory that the doctor should be a doctor in a government hospital. It can also be a nursing home, it can also be a clinic. Whenever she comes, either directly or brought by the police, you have to examine and you cannot refuse. So whatever the setup you are working, whenever such a case comes to you, you are bound to do such examination. তাহলে 164 এ CRPC বলছে either a government doctor or any other registered medical practitioner can examine such a case whenever such case is brought to him or her either by police or directly, and it is the responsibility of the police that within getting the information of sexual assault within 24 hours he would arrange for the medical examination. And please remember, under this 164A CRPC, it never tells that court order is mandatory before a medical examination. So court order is not mandatory for a medical examination, and you cannot pressurize a police officer for getting a court order before such examination. Clear? So 164A CRPC deals with the medical examination of the victim or survivor of rape cases or sexual assault cases. এটা মাথায় রেখো, পরীক্ষায় জিজ্ঞেস করে। Next is, parents or legal guardians can request medical treatment or give consent on behalf of the rape survivor or victim if the survivor is under 12 years of age, under influence of any drug or alcohol, unconscious or mentally sound. In other means, it means a woman more than 12 years of age who is in sound mind can give consent for his medico-legal examination. A woman above 12 years age. So the age for giving consent for medico-legal examination as per POCSO Act is more than 12 years and above. So a woman above 12 years of age, if of sound mind, can give valid consent for such examination. If she denies for such an examination, court cannot pressurize her, neither police can pressurize her, neither the parents or the guardians can pressurize that survivor for medico-legal examination if the age of the survivor is more than 12 years of age. But if she is less than 12 years of age, then consent must be obtained from the parents or the guardians. Or she is more than 12 years or more than 18 years, but she is not having unsoundness of mind, or during the time of examination you are getting the fact that she is under the effect of any drug or alcohol, then in that case also you have to take consent from the parents or the guardians. Otherwise the age for giving consent here is 12 years and above. Victims or survivor of the rape cases or sexual assault cases should be treated with dignity and respect, and the examiner must be reassuring, empathetic and non-judgmental. Please remember, whenever you are getting such a case, be non-judgmental. Don't decide things this is a false case or this is a true case. So with the thinking of being non-judgmental, you have to project your empathy to the survivor, not your sympathy. What is empathy and what is sympathy আমরা legal and ethical aspects of ethics এর ক্লাসে আমরা ডিটেইলে ডিসকাস করেছিলাম. So you should project your cognitive empathic response towards the survivor. You should be non-judgmental and reassuring and must refrain yourself from making any loose comments. অনেক সময় তোমরা দেখবে the survivor complained when she entered the police station and lodged a complaint. Police officers recording her statement made such loose comments. Newspaper প্রায় দেখা যায়. So while examining or dealing such a case, you should give her proper respect and dignity and be non-judgmental. Refrain yourself from making any loose comments. Do not laugh. Do not use any filthy language, but do not show your sympathy. ইস আপনার সাথে খুব খারাপ হয়েছে, but you should be empathic towards the survivor. Reassuring, because for examination, for history taking, for sample collection, you have to gain the trust of the survivor. Otherwise, she cannot be comfortable before you. She cannot give you the proper history until and unless she makes her comfortable in your presence. So in that case, you have to gain the confidence and trust of the survivor for the smooth functioning of your medical procedures. Privacy should be maintained during examination. This is very important. So দেখবে যেখানে পরীক্ষা করছো, this area should maintain proper privacy of the survivor during examination. And after examination and sample collection, you have to prepare a detailed report mentioning the reason of each conclusion. That means your report should contain the findings as well as the opinion. Now, why you have opined for a particular point, you have to give a proper reason that I am giving this opinion because of the following finding, like that. So mentioning the reasons for each conclusion. Next. It is said that a senior medical staff should examine the suspected rape case so that the doctor could act as a reliable medical expert witness in the court of law, but it is not mandatory. Any registered medical practitioner can examine such a case, provided that he or she has the proper knowledge what he is doing. এটা বইতে লেখা ছিল বলে আমি মেনশন করলাম, but it is not a mandatory senior medical staff. Senior means what? তাহলে সেরকম কোনো ব্যাপার নেই কিন্তু। Forensic evidences should be collected as soon as possible. মানে তোমার কাছে নিয়ে আসলে you should collect the evidence, but problem is that in practical life we face that the survivor or the victim is coming to the medical officer after a long gap, and you know that with the progression of the time you will lose the physical evidences of sexual assault. তাই জন্য it is said in 164 CRPC, within 24 hours of getting the information, medical examination must be carried out and it should be arranged by the police. But if it is reported late to the police, then obviously the possibility of getting positive physical findings or evidences of sexual assault decreases with gradual lapse of time. Now this is the summary what you have to do while dealing a case of sexual assault. Whenever such a case is coming to you, so first is initial resuscitation and first aid for the injuries. That is the most important one. Informed consent should be taken for examination, evidence collection and police procedures. So after taking the informed consent, take a detailed history of the alleged incident took place, followed by your medical examination. If age estimation is requested by the police, then you have to perform an age estimation based on the findings of physical, dental and radiological findings. After that, you have to collect the samples following the examination. So evidence collection as per the proper protocol. Next is the documentation. That means you will prepare your report. Next is packing, sealing and handing over the collected evidence to the police, and that should be sent to the forensic science laboratory for necessary examination of the specimens you have collected during examination. Treatment of the injuries, if it is present, is important, followed by testing or prophylaxis of sexually transmitted infections, HIV, hepatitis B, and also pregnancy, whether she requires any emergency contraception or detection of pregnancy, when there is a history of ejaculation inside the vagina. So either testing for detection of pregnancy or emergency contraception if required, along with either testing or prophylaxis for the sexually transmitted infection, HIV and hepatitis B is also important, followed by psychological support and counseling, another important part of your examination and treatment of a sexually assault survivor, psychological support and counseling, and referral for further help to either for getting a legal support or shelter if possible in your setup. যদি তোমার সেটআপে পসিবল হয়ে থাকে তাহলে you can do. because the government is now planning for a one-stop center for the survivor, যেখানে সে medical treatment থেকে legal support সবকিছু পাবে. So when the one-stop center will be established, in that case you can fulfill the last point, that is the referral for further help including the legal support. At this stage, from a doctor's point of view, you cannot refer to a lawyer for that. You can submit your report to the police only. Whenever the concept of the one-stop center will come to the reality, in that case you can also refer the survivor for getting proper legal support from that particular center. So now we are coming to the details of examination of the rape survivor or victim. Please remember, survivor তোমার কাছে কিভাবে আসতে পারে? This is the question. Either she can come directly to you or can be brought by the police. So if the survivor immediately goes to the police, যেটা হয় না generally, যদি হয়, if the survivor immediately goes to the police or recovered by the police following the incident or the assault, the police should advise her not to change the clothes or have a bath before forensic medical examination and sample collection, because if she changes the clothes or have a bath, then there will be loss of physical evidences. So police should suggest that you should not change your clothes or should not go for a bath before forensic medical examination and sample collection is carried out. So what are the preliminaries for medico-legal examination? Preliminaries for medico-legal examination, number one is that a requisition from magistrate or in charge of a police station or sub-inspector of police, though it is not mandatory, because the survivor can directly come to you. ঠিক আছে, সেই জন্য যে সবসময় যে রিকুইজিশন পেতে হবে নয়। তো এই সার্ভাইভার ডাইরেক্টলি তোমার কাছে হসপিটালে আসে, তাহলে তুমি তাকে কি বলবে যে না আপনি আগে পুলিশের কাছ থেকে একটা রিপোর্ট করিয়ে নিয়ে আসুন, এফআইআর করিয়ে নিয়ে আসুন, তারপর পুলিশ আমাকে চিঠি লিখলে আমি এক্সামিনেশন করবো? ইট শুড নট বি দ্য ওয়ে. If she comes directly to you, then you don't require any requisition from police or the magistrate. But if the case is coming to you via the police or the magistrate, obviously it will be accompanied by a requisition for the medico-legal examination, and that requisition may come from the magistrate, but commonly we are getting the requisition from the police, not below the rank of a sub-inspector. So if the victim has approached the doctor herself to have a medical examination, then the doctor should conduct medico-legal examination without any delay, and information should be sent to the police station having jurisdiction over the hospital for recording her statement and lodging a complaint. But please remember, again I am repeating, as per 164A CRPC, court order is not mandatory for medico-legal examination. Clear? You cannot pressurize the police officer for a court order before such examination. এটা আমরা দেখি যে অনেক সময় পুলিশরা বলে যে ডাক্তারবাবু তো কোর্ট অর্ডার ছাড়া পরীক্ষা করতে চান না. So please remember, court order is not mandatory for such examination. Even requisition is not mandatory if she is coming directly to you. But if she is coming via the police, then you will get a requisition for such an examination. So after getting the requisition, next important point is the written informed consent if the age of the survivor is 12 years and above. So written informed consent is required for treatment, examination, sample collection. She must be informed that any evidence obtained may be used in the court, and she will be exposed to publicity and have to face a cross examination. এগুলো তোমাকে ইনফরমেশন দিতে হবে যে whatever the information I will get here, I will mention in the report, and that report will be forwarded to the police and may be used in the court of law. In that case, you will be summoned in the court of law and you have to face cross examination. এই সমস্ত কিছু বলে দেবে. After that, you will get your written informed consent. I will upload a written informed consent for examination of the sexual assault case. And after that, either you will take a signature if the person can sign, or can take a left thumb impression. So take a signature of the consenting survivor or the victim or the person giving the consent on her behalf, along with take the signature of the witness along with your own signature in the informed consent form. তাহলে informed consent form এ কে কে সই করছে? The survivor or the victim, number 1. Number 2, অবশ্যই তুমি as the examining doctor. Number 3 is the person as a witness. The witness's signature is also important during taking the informed consent. কতগুলো পয়েন্ট একটু মাথায় রাখো in relation to consent. The survivor has every right to refuse for medical legal examination or for sample collection or for both. তাহলে সার্ভাইভারের পুরো অধিকার রয়েছে she can refuse the medical legal examination or she can refuse any necessary sample collection or she can refuse the entire medical legal procedure. It should be informed refusal and must be documented. Informed refusal মানে কি? You have to give full information what are the disadvantages of not getting the not allowing the examination. তো সেক্ষেত্রে তার কি কি প্রবলেম হতে পারে, after giving all the information, if she still refuses for such medical legal examination, it should be documented as a informed refusal. তাকে কিন্তু আরো ইনফর্ম করবে, informed refusal for medical legal examination does not rule her right to get treatment, because treatment is another important part along with examination. মানে তার যেন এটা না মনে হয় if she refuses for medical legal examination she will not be treated in that particular hospital, তাহলে সেটাও তাকে অ্যাসিওর করবে। ঠিক আছে, informed refusal for examination does not rule her right to get treatment in that particular hospital or nursing home, whatever. Even the police or the court cannot force a survivor for such examination against her will. তাহলে পুলিশেরও অধিকার নেই, কোর্টেরও অধিকার নেই to force a survivor to undergo such medical legal examination and sample collection. She has every right for partial examination. তার মানে কি, সে শুধু বললো আমি ফিজিক্যাল এক্সামিনেশন করাবো, আমি জেনিটাল এক্সামিনেশন করাবো না, অথবা আমি স্যাম্পল কালেকশন করতে দেবো না, অথবা সে বললো I will only allow sample collection but I will not give consent for my physical and genital examination. So she has every right for partial examination. তাহলে যতটুকু পার্ট সে অ্যালাউ করবে ততটুকু পার্টেরই এক্সামিনেশন হবে, যে পার্টটা সে অ্যালাউ করবে না সেই পার্টের এক্সামিনেশন কিন্তু হবে না। This is called the right for partial examination. Now remember, hospital or doctor is duty bound to inform the police about this incident because this is a medical legal case. তাহলে তোমার কাছে যখনই এই ধরনের কেস আসছে like an injury case, any other medical legal case, it is a police case or a legal case, so in that case you are duty bound to inform the matter to the police. But survivor has the right to refuse to lodge a FIR from her side. সার্ভাইভার চাইলে এফআইআর লজ করতে নাও পারে ফ্রম হার সাইড, সেটা পুলিশকে মেনশন করে দেবে দি সার্ভাইভার ইজ নট ইন্টারেস্টেড টু লজ অ্যান এফআইআর but we are giving you the information as a part of our responsibility that such a case has come and we have examined such a case and prepared a report and also collected the sample, but the survivor is not willing to participate in the police proceedings. সেটা তোমাকে ইনফরমেশন দিয়ে রাখতে হবে, but from your side whether the survivor urges or not allowing you, you as a doctor or a part of a hospital, you have to inform the matter to the police station having jurisdiction over your hospital. So after getting the informed consent, next comes the identification of the survivor or the victim. যদি পুলিশ নিয়ে আসে তাহলে অবশ্যই it should be done by the identifying or accompanying police officer. যিনি নিয়ে আসছেন তিনি আইডেন্টিফাই করবেন। এবার যদি নিজে থেকে আসে তাহলে সেক্ষেত্রে পুলিশ অফিসারের কোনো গল্প নেই, দেন এই স্টেপটা তুমি অমিট করে বাকি স্টেপগুলো করতে পারবে। এখানে আইডেন্টিফিকেশন অফ দ্য ভিকটিম অর দ্য সার্ভাইভার, এক্ষেত্রে it will not be done by the police. In that case you will take the signature or the left thumb impression along with the identification marks of the subject for your examination. যদি পুলিশ নিয়ে এসে থাকে, so identification should be done by the accompanying police person. ঠিক আছে? So identification of the victim or survivor. Victim or the survivor should be examined by or under the supervision of a female doctor to make her comfortable only. If the victim or the survivor is a female, it is not a POXO case. POXO case, the victim can be a male or a female. But if it is not a POXO case, to make the survivor comfortable, it is advised that that examination should be conducted by a female registered medical practitioner. কিন্তু অনেক সময় এটা পসিবল নাও হতে পারে। ধরো কোনো পেরিফেরাল সেন্টার যেখানে ফিমেল মেডিকেল অফিসার নেই ডিউটিতে, তখন কি করবে? তাহলে সেক্ষেত্রে ইউ ক্যান ডু দ্য এক্সামিনেশন বাই টেকিং দ্য কনসেন্ট। তাহলে এক্ষেত্রে উই উইল ডিভাইড ওয়েদার ইট ইজ আ পক্সো কেস অর আ নট পক্সো কেস, that the examination of a female examination by a female medical officer. Under POXO Act, if the survivor is female, examination has to be done by the female registered medical practitioner. মাথায় রাখো, under the POXO Act, that means the survivor age is less than 18 years of age and the survivor is female, then in that case the examination must be conducted by a female registered medical practitioner. এক্ষেত্রে তুমি as a man, as a male registered medical practitioner cannot examine a POXO case if the survivor is a female one. Please keep it in mind. In that case, you have to refer the case to your next center for such examination if your hospital has no female registered medical practitioner. এই কথাটা মাথায় রাখো। যদি তুমি এমন কোন হসপিটালে কাজ করছো সেক্ষেত্রে কোনো ফিমেল মেডিকেল অফিসার নেই, সেক্ষেত্রে তোমাকে কিন্তু তোমার নেক্সট সেন্টারে, হায়ার সেন্টারে যেখানে আছে সেখানে রেফার করতে হবে। আদারওয়াইজ তোমার সেন্টারে যদি ফিমেল মেডিকেল অফিসার থাকে, if the case is lodged under POXO Act, this examination must be done by a female registered medical practitioner. Clear? And if the case is a not POXO Act, that means case is booked under section 376 IPC only, and if the survivor is female and above 18 years of age, examination should be conducted by, can be conducted by a male medical officer with the consent of the female survivor. ঠিক আছে? তার মানে age of the survivor is more than 18 years of age, the case is booked under section 376 IPC, not under POXO Act, and the survivor obviously here is a female. So in that case, examination either can be conducted by a male doctor or a female doctor. Now for male doctor, consent should be taken from the survivor in the way that she has no objection for undergoing medical examination by a male doctor. এটা consent form এ specifically add করে লিখিয়ে নেবে that from the part of the survivor she has no objection for undergoing examination by a male doctor. Clear? But the examination can be done by a male doctor if it is a not a POXO case. But whether it is a POXO case or a not POXO case and the survivor is a female, so during your examination a female attendant is must during the entire examination procedure. So female attendant, so examination must be conducted in presence of a female attendant as a witness. That female attendant should also sign the informed consent form. তার প্রেজেন্সেই কনসেন্ট নেওয়া হবে, তার প্রেজেন্সেই এক্সামিনেশন হবে। So examination in presence of a female attendant is must during examination. Now coming to the preliminary data, যেটা তোমাদের ফর্মের মধ্যে থাকবে। So that includes the name of the survivor, stated age, সে কতটা বলছে, stated age, address, marital status, whether married or not married. Next is the date, time, place of examination, as it is important to estimate the time interval between alleged incident and examination and sample collection. তাহলে কোথায় পরীক্ষা করছে? ফর এক্সাম্পল ডিপার্টমেন্ট অফ ফরেন্সিক মেডিসিন অ্যান্ড টক্সিকোলজি, এনআরএস মেডিকেল কলেজ হসপিটাল, পার্টিকুলার ডেট অ্যান্ড পার্টিকুলার টাইম। এই টাইমটা মেনশন করা আর ডেট অ্যান্ড টাইমটা মেনশন করার ইম্পর্টেন্স হচ্ছে ইট উইল হেল্প ইউ টু ক্যালকুলেট দ্য ডিউরেশন বিটুইন দ্য অ্যালিজড ইনসিডেন্ট অ্যান্ড দ্য date of examination, because with the progression of the time there is a high chance of getting the physical evidence, the physical evidences you will lose with the progression of time. So after that you have to assess the ability of the survivor to give consent, whether she is mentally retarded, under 12 years of age, or under influence of any drug or alcohol. Then you should take the consent of the parent or the guardian. Otherwise you should take the consent, informed consent of the survivor only, if she is more than 12 years of age and having a sound mind during the time of examination. To assess, so first assess whether she has the ability, she can give a legally valid consent. If she can, then take consent from her, otherwise take a consent from her guardian or local guardian or from parent. Next is the noting the identification marks. So at least 2 identification marks you should note in your report. Why identification marks noting is important in your report? For example, the case, ধরো এই কেসটা উঠলো কোর্টে আজ থেকে তুমি এক্সামিনেশন করার 3 থেকে 4 বছর বাদে, and the defense lawyer will ask you, doctor, did you examine that woman? So how will you remember? এই 3 বছর টাইমের মধ্যে তুমি ধরো এরকম 500-600টা এক্সামিনেশন করে ফেলেছো। So your answer will be, I have mentioned few identification marks in my report, and if it tallies with the identification marks present on the body of the survivor, then I have examined her. So that's why noting the identification marks is important in every medical or medico-legal report. So preferably you should take the identification marks from the exposed body part. If it is not found, then you should ask for uncovering the body parts. Next, related with the history of the particular case. So date, time and place of the alleged offense. কোথায় হয়েছে, কখন হয়েছিল, কটার সময় হয়েছিল। So in the detailed history taking, it should not be a brief history taking. কোনো বইতে মেনশন করা আছে brief history, but as per the guideline given by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, the history should be a detailed one from the part of the medical examiner in form of number of perpetrator, কতজন ছিল, whether known to her, চিনতো কি সে, যে সার্ভাইভার সে তাকে চিনতো না চিনতো না আগে থেকে, type of sexual contact, that means whether the intercourse was a vaginal, oral or anal, by what, whether the inserting object is the penis or a finger or any other object, whether any resistance offered from her side, and if not, what was the reason for that, whether she had any sensation to penetration and emission of semen inside the vagina or outside the vagina, whether she has any information whether the assailant used condom during the act or not. So it may sound offensive, but from the medical perspective, all the points are very important, because your opinion will vary with the information supplied by the survivor. So during, for example, if it is a fresh case, that it is reported within 24 hours, you have collected the vaginal swabs and smears, and the report comes negative, there is no evidence of seminal fluid inside the vagina. So what could be the possible reason behind that? So the accused must use a condom during the act. So each and every point is important in the history of sexual assault cases, and it should be an explicit history in a detailed history format. Next, after that, whether any bleeding or pain during or after the act, কিছু হয়েছিল কিনা. Next important thing is that you should properly mention who is giving the history, whether the survivor or the accompanied person. যদি accompanied person দিয়ে থাকে, তার কি নাম and what is the relation with the survivor. And history should be noted in verbatim, মানে যেরকম যেরকম বলছে সেরকম clearly লিখবে. So history should be noted in verbatim. If a survivor does not know about a particular act occurred as asked by a doctor, ধরো তুমি জিজ্ঞেস করলে whether condom was used during the act, সে যদি না জানে তাহলে you should mention the point, answer as a did not know, জানি না. So you should mention that phrase did not know in that case. Answer to the particular question asked by you. Details of the events after alleged assault, that is also important because all these acts leads to the all these acts lead to the loss of physical evidences. কিরকম? So after the act, whether there is any history of douching, bathing, use of tampon or sanitary napkin, urination, defecation, eating, drinking, use of toothpaste, mouthwash, taking enema or any drugs, that detailed events after the alleged sexual assault should be noted because it will help you to frame your opinion and will help you to give your expert witness in the court of law whenever there will the result for collection of physical evidences will come negative. Next is, you should ask whether consciousness was lost any time during the act. After that, another important point is that date and time of the last consensual sexual intercourse, because the sperm from the last consensual sexual intercourse may still be present inside the vagina or the cervix and can confuse the case. So তুমি vaginal swab smear পাঠাচ্ছ, সেক্ষেত্রে you are getting the positive result. So in that case you should ask the date and time of the last consensual sexual intercourse. Another important thing is the details of the menstrual history. That means the cycle, the duration, LMP, that is the first day of the last menstrual period. For example, if the woman is menstruating at the time of examination, in that case to look for the vaginal injuries, you should give a second date. You should ask the survivor to come after the stoppage of the menstrual bleeding. Because in the stage of menstrual bleeding, you cannot assess the vaginal injuries properly. So noting the menstrual history is very important. Another important point is that to assess whether there is a chance of pregnancy or not also. In that case, you should go for either an emergency contraception or detection of pregnancy following that alleged sexual intercourse. Relevant medical history is another important point you should note in form of whether she had or suffering from currently any sexually transmitted infection. For example, whether there is any profuse vaginal discharge or discharge per urethra, or she is a known HIV positive patient or hepatitis B or C positive patient. So you should ask about the fact whether also any evidences of discharge per urethra or per anus, evidence of any warts, ulcers, whether she is having any burning sensation during micturition or lower abdominal pain. That can give an idea regarding the sexually transmitted infection or other possible infections suffering by the survivor. So relevant medical history should also be incorporated in your report. Now coming to the, after taking the history, coming to the examination purpose. এবার আমাদের examination শুরু হবে। আমরা history note করে নিয়েছি, we have taken the informed consent, we have noted the identification marks, we have taken the signature of the brought and identifying police person along with the witness. Now we have noted the history. Now we will go for examination. Now examination we will broadly divide it into two forms, that is the extragenital examination and the genital examination. Now before that, say general points including height, weight, nutritional status. Noting the gait is very important in a case of sexual assault, whether limping or it is normal, followed by pulse, blood pressure, respiration, temperature, state of pupil or any signs of intoxication is important. Either conjunctival congestion is present, pupillary dilatation or sluggish reaction to light, you have to assess for that. So this comes under the general examination. Next is important part is the examination of clothes, very important in sexual assault cases. প্রথমেই জিজ্ঞেস করবে the cloth you are wearing is the same cloth that is used during the assault. If it is a fresh case, is coming directly to you after the alleged incident, so it should be ascertained whether the clothes are those which she were worn at the time of the offense or she has changed the cloth. If it is the same dress, এটা যদি সেই ড্রেসই হয় যে ড্রেসে তার সঙ্গে সেক্সুয়াল অ্যাসল্ট হয়েছে, তবেই সেই ক্লোদিংটা is important for forensic examination purpose. Then the survivor, in presence of the doctor, should remove each item of clothing herself standing on a clean sheet of paper. Anything that falls, either earth, buttons or hair, should be preserved. তার মানে কি হলো? Make it a simple one. একটা সাদা কাগজের ওপর, a clean sheet of white paper এর ওপর তুমি সার্ভাইভারকে বলবে দাঁড়ান। If it is the same cloth, ঠিক আছে? You should ask the survivor to stand on a clean sheet of white paper and to remove each part of the item one by one. Anything from the wearing apparel falls on the white paper should be preserved. It should be a hair, it could be a hair, it could be a art, it could be a button, anything that falls on the white sheet of paper, you have to preserve that. It should also be examined for whether the clothes have any stain. That could be a stain of blood, that could be a stain of semen or seminal fluid, it could be a mud or the sand stain, which gives you an idea regarding the place of occurrence, কোথায় হয়েছিল সেটা সম্বন্ধে একটা আইডিয়া পেতে পারো। whether there is any tears, loss of buttons, and কোথায় যদি এগুলো থাকে তাহলে কোথায় রয়েছে এবং কি টাইপের ড্যামেজ রয়েছে, you have to note that. So clothing should be examined for whether it has any tear, loss of button, whether it has any stain, whether it could be a blood stain, seminal stain, or stain of a lubricant or any mud or sand stain, it should be noted. কোথায় রয়েছে, কিভাবে রয়েছে। তাহলে এটা যদি সেই ক্লোদিংটাই হয়ে থাকে যেটা এক্সামিনেশন সময় পড়েছো, you have to preserve that cloth. So in that case, if police is accompanying the survivor, then you should ask the police for a second piece of wearing apparel for her. তোমাকে তো তাকে কাপড় পরিয়ে বার করতে হবে। So in that case, if the police is bringing the case to you, you should ask the police officer to arrange for a second set of wearing apparel. আর সে যদি নিজে থেকে তোমার কাছে হসপিটালে এসে থাকে, you should provide her a clean hospital gown after preserving her cloth. Now, how will you preserve the cloth if it is a fresh case? So, if the cloth is stained, so it should be allowed to dry in the room temperature, not under the direct effect of sunlight, as it will degrade the stains present there. So, it should not be dried under the direct effect of sunlight. It should be air dried in room temperature. After that, you have to pack the clothes in a paper bag, not in a plastic bag or in a polythene bag. Each item should be packed separately, and it should be packed inside a paper bag. Why not in a plastic bag? Because if you preserve the clothes in a plastic bag, it will trap the moisture, and the moisture will favor the growth of the bacteria and the fungi that will destroy the biological stain. So clothing must be preserved inside a paper bag, and each part of clothing should be preserved separately. So neither the undergarment should be preserved with the outer clothing. So you should use two separate paper bags, one for outer clothing and one for inner garments if present. And please remember that whenever you are packing or folding the garment, you should keep it in mind that one stained area should not come in contact with another stained area. For example, one area is blood stained, another area is not blood stained. So while packing, there is a chance that if you have not air dried properly, so there is a chance that from the stained area, the blood stain should also stain the unstained area. In that case, so between a stained area and unstained area, you should use a clean sheet of white paper between a stained and an unstained area while packing and folding, and you should preserve it inside a clean paper bag, not inside a polythene bag. Clear? Next, examination starts with the body part, that is the breast. Now breast should be looked for sexual maturation. That means whether it is a prepubertal, pubertal or mature. This is important for estimation of age. So secondary sexual characteristics যখন আমরা নোট করি তার জন্য breasted maturity noting is also important. Either you can write the prepubertal, pubertal or mature, but this is not a very good phrase to write. I should suggest that you should mention the maturity of the breast as per Tanner staging. Tanner staging ki identification class আমরা discuss করেছিলাম. So you should mention the stage of breast development as per Tanner staging from 1 to 5, and also look for any injury is present over the breast. That is important for the purpose of our examination of the injuries in sexual assault case. So maturity for estimation of age, another part is the examination of whether any injury is present over the breast or not. So breast examination. Next is the examination of the oral cavity and teeth to look for any gum bleeding, loosening of teeth, abrasion or laceration of the lips or the labial frenulum. That is important for assessing the injury. Another part is the eruption of teeth for estimation of age. So both for breast and oral cavity you should go for presence of any injury, and another important point is for estimation of age. Clear? So eruption of teeth is also important for estimation of age. Next is that examination under the Wood's lamp. Examination under Wood's lamp. So what is the Wood's lamp? Wood's lamp is as nothing but a filtered UV light. A filtered UV light, it may detect a dried seminal stain. Dried seminal stain কে আইডেন্টিফাই করার জন্য Wood's lamp আমরা ইউজ করে থাকি. The dried seminal stain under the effect of the filtered ultraviolet light, it will appear as a pale yellow glistening area that will fluoresce under this UV lamp. This is an Wood's lamp that produces a filtered ultraviolet light. So under the effect of this filtered ultraviolet light, the seminal stain will appear as a pale yellow glistening fluorescent area. যেরকম দেখতে পাচ্ছি আমরা এই ছবিতে. Clear? This is the Tanner staging. I am not going into the details of that Tanner staging because we have discussed in details in the identification class. So maturity of the breast can be assessed as per Tanner staging. So now we will come to the part extragenital injuries. So examination of the injuries present over any parts of the body other than external genitalia. So extragenitally. So frequent sites of extragenital traumas including the breast, extremities, neck, buttock, and sometimes in the oropharynx in a case of sexual assault. So body must be examined for any tenderness, that is pain or swelling, soft tissue swelling or edema, abrasion, contusions, laceration, bite marks, and fracture. And whenever you are getting an injury, try to assess the appropriate age, whether they are corresponding with the alleged time of infliction. For example, you are getting a abrasion that is scabbed, and the color of the scab is dark brownish in color. That means it is 4 to 7 days old minimum, but the survivor is giving the history that she has been sexually assaulted yesterday. So obviously the age of the abrasion is not corresponding with the time of infliction of injury. So assessing the age of the injury is also another important part. Now, as it is mentioned in your textbooks, that if the assailant pulls and twists the victim's clothing, so petechial hemorrhages or a line of punctured bruising may occur on the skin, commonly in the area of the brachial strap near the axillary region. Just like that. So forceful twisting the brachial strap can produce an punctured hemorrhagic area near the axillary region. Contusions and fingernail abrasions may be found. কোথায় কোথায় হতে পারে commonly fingernail abrasions? So around the mouth and the throat to prevent her calling for help. Contusion of the lips or tearing of the labial frenulum of the lower lip হতে পারে. Around the waist or the arm when the assailant gripped her in her restraint. Around the medial aspect of thighs and the knees in an attempt for forcing her thighs wide apart for easing the penetration procedure, so around the medial aspect of thighs. On the back, from pressure on the gravel or on the hard ground, on being held down on a rough surface. Pressure পড়ার জন্য সেখানে you can get abrasions and sometimes contusions may be produced. And obviously on the breast for manual squeezing and manipulation. So these are the areas you should carefully look for presence of any injury. A thorough examination of the whole body is important, but these are the common areas where you can get injuries during a sexual assault case. So tearing of the labial frenulum may occur following an assault. Now, true bite marks and love bite marks may be found on the breast, neck, chest wall, lower abdominal wall, or the upper part of the thighs. So either a true bite mark or you can get the love bite marks. Clear? Now coming to the local examination of the external genitalia examination. So genital examination, we should start for the patient, not the patient. I have mentioned here patient, but it should not be the patient. The survivor should lie in lithotomy position on an examination table under good light with the parts fully exposed. Examination of the genitalia can be done using a sterile speculum lubricated either with warm saline or distilled water. Also, you can use a Glesterkin globe during your examination. So either a speculum examination or Glesterkin globe you can use. Now, important thing, please remember, parvaginal examination, commonly referred by the lay person as two-finger test, to assess the size of vaginal introitus, must not be conducted for establishing rape or sexual violence, and size of the vaginal introitus has no bearing on a case of sexual violence. Parvaginal examination. A parvaginal examination can be a speculum examination, can be a two-finger test that was done previously. Two fingers, index finger and the middle fingers, are introduced into the vagina to assess the size of the vaginal introitus, whether they can be passed easily or the insertion is painful. Now this test is called the two-finger test. Parvaginal examination in form of speculum examination is not prohibited. It is allowed to assess genital injuries inside the vagina. But parvaginal examination in form of two-finger test to assess the size of vaginal introitus is prohibited. Why so? Previously, the police used to ask a question in the requisition to the doctor that whether the survivor is habituated in sexual intercourse. Whether the survivor is habituated in sexual intercourse. And to answer this question, doctor has to perform a two-finger test to assess the size of vaginal introitus, whether the fingers can be introduced easily or with resistance, and how much finger can be introduced, whether one finger or a two-finger. Now, with the change in the Law of Criminal Amendment Act, the definition of the rape has been changed, and following that this test is prohibited. A police cannot ask whether the survivor is habituated in sexual intercourse. Why so? Because a woman who is habituated sexual intercourse, সে কি তার right দিচ্ছে for rape? It is obvious a woman who is mature enough will have her regular sexual life with her partner of choice. সে তার সাথে সেক্স করতে পছন্দ করবে, তার সঙ্গে তার একটা হ্যাপি সেক্সুয়াল লাইফ থাকবে, it is expected. Whether it means she is giving her right for the rape by another person. তাহলে why the police should ask whether she is habituated in sexual intercourse? ছেলেদের ক্ষেত্রে তো এই কোয়েশ্চেনটা করা হয় না whether he is habituated to sexual intercourse. তাহলে as per the directive of Supreme Court of India, this question cannot be asked to a medical officer, and medical officer should not perform two-finger test to assess the size of vaginal introitus, because it has got no bearing from the medical perspective whether she is habituated or not habituated to the legal section applied to rape. So this two-finger test is prohibited during examination of survivor or the victim of sexual assault, and you will not comment whether she is habituated or not. Police cannot ask you, neither you can opine. So that will be the position, lithotomy position during genital examination. So first, look for any stains. Blood stains or seminal stains can be found at the medial aspect of thigh or in the vaginal region, and if it is found, it should be preserved. How will you preserve? I will come later on. Next is, look for the pubic hairs. Whether the pubic hair is matted with seminal fluid or blood, or any presence of a foreign hair. If the pubic hair is matted with blood or seminal fluid, that portion should be cut off and preserved. তাহলে সেই জায়গাটা কাঁচি দিয়ে কেটে নিতে হবে, প্রিজার্ভ করতে হবে। If the pubic hair is not matted, then it should be combed loosely to collect any loose foreign pubic hair. Now, while combing the pubic hair, what are the loose pubic hairs are coming on combing, you have to preserve that. Now, in that case, there is a possibility the pubic hair could be of that survivor, নিজের হতে পারে, or it could be the pubic hair of the assailant following the sexual assault. So for that case, you have to take a control specimen of plucked out scalp hair with intact root to match whether the hair that is collected while combing the pubic hair belongs to the survivor or to the assailant. Now, taking the scalp hair is controversial because it will only act as a control specimen that will give you the source of DNA. If you are preserving the blood specimen, then it can easily be done by using the DNA from the blood and the loose pubic hair DNA profile, whether matching or not. So in that case, scalp hair preservation is not mandatory, but as it is mentioned in the book, I have mentioned, but that is not mandatory if you are preserving blood as a source of DNA for DNA typing. So pubic hair, if it is matted, it should be cut. If it is not matted, it should be loosely combed out to collect the loose pubic hair. Genital injury, তোমাদের গৌতম বিশ্বাস স্যারের বইতে খুব সুন্দর লেখা রয়েছে, it should be in the form of a tears. কি হতে পারে? T for tear, that means laceration. E for ecchymosis or bruises. A for abrasion. R for redness or congestion, and S for swelling or edema. এই তো হতে পারে। So genital injury তে you will get either a laceration, bruise, abrasion, congestion or edema. So in the form of tears. Starting with the labia. Injury to the labia, especially in the labia majora, is not a very common one following a sexual assault. But fingernail scratches may be present on labia, mainly on the labia minora, not in the labia majora. You may get fingernail scratch abrasions over labia minora. Swelling and tenderness of the labia minora may be indicative of a recent sexual activity. Swelling and tenderness of labia minora. Swelling and engorgement of the vulva at the introitus, clitoris, labia minora may be caused by penile intercourse but can be seen in violent masturbation or digital stimulation also. Please keep it in mind. Certain degree of swelling of the labia minora and clitoris. But these signs of mild swelling and congestion following a digital penetration generally fades up in 1 to 2 hours. So labia majora should be looked, followed by labia minora for any injury. So fingernail scratches may be found on labia minora. Next is the hymen. Please remember, tearing of the hymen occurs posterolaterally or in the midline, that means between 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock position following sexual intercourse. So tearing of the hymen occurs posterolaterally or in the midline, either in 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, sometimes 8 o'clock position or 4 o'clock position you may get. That means you are getting the tear posteriorly or posterolaterally or in the midline following an sexual intercourse. Now, during masturbation by inserting object, the hymeneal tear generally occurs anteriorly. But following sexual intercourse, the hymeneal tear generally occurs either in the midline or posteriorly or posterolaterally. Now, the hymeneal tear depends upon the type of the hymen. For example, the semilunar hymen ruptures from both sides, where an annular hymen may suffer several tears following sexual intercourse. Soon after the sexual intercourse, the torn margins are sharp, red, and bleeds on touch. So that margins are actually clear, delineated, sharp. Sharp means clear, regular. Red, that means congested, and bleeds on touch. And even when examined after 3 to 4 days of offense, the edges remain swollen and congested. There will be no evidence of fresh bleeding and after 3 to 4 days, but there will be evidence of swelling. That means the margin will remain edematous and congested. এই ডেসক্রিপশনটা একটু মনে রেখো, soon after that and after few days what will be the condition of hymen following sexual intercourse. Sign of recent rupture should be in the form of ragged tear in the hymen with lack of epithelial healing with edema and hemorrhage. So congestion, hemorrhage, edema, lack of epithelial healing in the ragged irregular tear margins are important following a sexual intercourse. So these are the various types of hymen. You know that. I am not going to the details here. So whether the hymeneal tear sometimes depends upon the type of the hymen, whether it's annular or semilunar or any other form. But please remember, generally following masturbation, the hymeneal tear occurs anteriorly, and following sexual intercourse, the hymeneal tear occurs posteriorly or posterolaterally or in the midline. If you consider the hymen as a clock, so you can see here the semilunar hymen and the annular hymen. So fresh, when it is fresh, you can see bleeding, the sharp margins are torn, red in color, congested with evidence of bleeding, as it is shown here. So evidences of bleeding is seen. Please remember, hymen may not rupture following a sexual intercourse. I am not mentioning, I have mentioned here rape, but it should be ideally sexual intercourse. So So hymen may not rupture even after sexual intercourse. What are the conditions? The penetration was not full. The hymen was tough, elastic and fleshy. And sometimes in cases of young children, the full penetration may not occur. So in that case, hymen may not rupture. But the commonest answer is the hymen may not rupture if the penetration is not full and the hymen is tough, fleshy and elastic one. Clear? This is a way of examination of a prepubertal girl using labial traction. Down and out labial traction is provided to examine the hymeneal margin. Gleister-Keane globe. এখানে আমি ছবি দিইনি, picture is present in textbook of Case and Reddy. What is Gleister-Keane globe? This is actually a glass rod of a diameter of 0.6 millimeter, with one end of the rod is being expanded into a globe, just like the lollipop. It's a glass rod with one end, the rod is expanded into the form of a globe having a diameter of 1.25 centimeter. It is inserted through the hymeneal orifice gently, passed round the posterior surface of hymen, and the sphere is rotated slowly to display the edges over the glass. So the hymeneal margin examination এর জন্য it is inserted slowly through the posterior margin. এবার তুমি যদি রডটাকে gradually ঘোরাও, when the margin of the hymen should be present on the globe, so with the rotation of the globe you can see clearly the edges of the hymen over the globe, and you can easily identify whether any tear is present or old tear is present or fresh tear is present, because it will apparent fold and indentations যেগুলো থাকবে সেগুলোকে smooth করে দেবে. So in this way the apparent folds and indentations will smooth out and small nicks and the tears can easily be identified by using a Gleister-Keane globe. যদি না থাকে, you can use a simply vaginal swab stick. It will do the same purpose. Please remember, the status of hymen is irrelevant because the hymen can be torn due to several reasons. তোমাদের একটা চ্যাপ্টার পূর্ব স্যার পড়িয়ে আপলোড করেছে, virginity and defloration. So in that chapter there is a detailed discussion what are the conditions when the hymen will not rupture following a sexual intercourse, or what are the conditions when hymeneal tear will be present even without a sexual intercourse. So the status of hymen is irrelevant because the hymen can be torn due to several reasons apart from sexual intercourse. An intact hymen does not rule out sexual violence or rape. কেন? এই যে এক্ষুনি বললাম, if the penetration was not full, if the hymen is thick, tough, elastic, then the hymen will not rupture following the sexual intercourse. Also, a torn hymen does not prove previous sexual intercourse because it may rupture because of other reasons also. তাহলে কখন important hymeneal examination, কখন important? Old tear in the hymen is not important. It is relevant in relation to a sexual assault when you are getting a fresh tear. That means the margins will be congested, swollen with evidence of bleeding, with lack of epithelial healing. That in that case the hymeneal status is important in relation to the sexual assault. Otherwise old tear is not at all important in relation to sexual assault cases. That may turn due to consensual sexual intercourse or due to any other reason, but most commonly due to consensual sexual intercourse. Does it prove rape? No, it never proves rape. So, status of hymen is irrelevant, only important when you are getting a fresh injury on the hymen in relation to examination of a sexual assault cases. Clear? Posterior commissure may be ruptured, especially when there is a disparity in the size between the vaginal introitus and the penetrating object or the penis. Fourchette may show tear following the first sexual intercourse as it is very fragile in nature, and fossa navicularis may be obliterated following sexual intercourse. Now coming to the examination of the vagina proper. Again I am repeating, no two-finger test should be done to assess the size of vaginal introitus because this two-finger test is unscientific, inhuman and degrading for a woman. So it is unscientific, inhuman and degrading. So no two-finger test should be done to assess the size of vaginal introitus to opine whether she is habituated to sexual intercourse. This is offensive, inhuman. You can use a speculum examination if required for documentation of vaginal injury. A Pedersen speculum can be inserted into the vaginal canal. You can also look the vaginal canal as well as the cervix for any secretion or any injury present. With violent intercourse or when there has been a considerable disproportion between the penis and the vagina, laceration of the vaginal wall generally occurs posteriorly. So following a violent sexual intercourse or whenever there is a size disproportion in the size between the inserting object and the vagina, tearing of the vaginal wall generally occurs posteriorly. And in that case, the gait of the survivor will be a broad-based painful gait. So noting the gait is important in examination of the survivor. So following violent sexual intercourse, the posterior vaginal wall may show tear and sometimes it may show in the form of a complete perineal tear হতে পারে যে এতটাই violent sexual intercourse হয়েছিল because their documentation, their histories, their case reports are there where following the rape there was complete perineal tear of the survivor. So this is your speculum for examination of the vagina and the cervix. Now, vagina ওয়ালটা এমনিতেই লাল মতো দেখতে. So how will you assess whether any bruise is present or not? So contusions of the vagina appears as a dark red area against overall redness of the vaginal mucosa. তাহলে overall redness of the vaginal mucosa এর মধ্যে তুমি যদি deep or dark red area দেখতে পাও, you will suspect it as a bruise. And within 24 hours or gradually the color changes to deep red or purple in color. So against the overall redness, you will get a dark red to deep red areas of contusion. Most commonly, contusions are detected on the anterior vaginal wall in the lower third or in the posterior vaginal wall in the upper third area. This is the commonest site of getting the contusion in the vagina. Next is cervix. Abrasion of the cervix may occur invariably due to vaginal penetration, but this is more commonly seen in cases of digital penetration than na penile penetration. Digital penetration এ কিন্তু মনে রাখবে ম্যাক্সিমাম কিন্তু সার্ভাইকাল লিপে অ্যাব্রেশন হতে পারে অথবা ইনসার্টিং অফ আদার অবজেক্ট রাদার দ্যান penile penetration into the vagina. Abrasion may be found away from external os and margin is not very clearly defined. So cervix should be looked for any injury in the form of abrasion or contusion or also in the form of any secretion is present. Coming to the colposcopic examination. What is that? It is important for us subtle genital injury. Some colposcopes have camera attached with it that helps to detect the injury as well as taking the photograph of the particular injury. So colposcopic examination for vaginal injuries. So you can detect the injury as well as you can take photographs of the particular injury. Now, if you are suspecting there is a chance of bruise into the vagina, but on naked eye examination you cannot detect that bruise, in that case you can take the help of a dye that is known as 1% toluidine blue. You can apply 1% toluidine blue over the particular area and can see whether the injuries become prominent just like a magic wand. So using 1% toluidine blue may highlight the areas of injury in a better way. So this is the colposcope with attached camera for detection of the injuries as well as taking photographs of the injuries. And what I am talking about, the toluidine blue. Now here you can see there is no contusion, clear area, but you are suspecting there may be a contusion in that particular area. So if you apply toluidine blue over the area, the regions that having a bruise will appear as a violet colored area on application of toluidine blue, just like in this picture. Same thing, you are suspecting, applying toluidine blue, the bruises area may become more prominent. So this is about the examination of survivor of the rape cases. To summarize, whenever the survivor will come directly to you or by the police with a requisition, assess whether she can give consent depending upon age and the mental status. If she can give consent, take informed consent, note identification marks, take a female attendant along with you during the time of examination. Next, general examination include height, weight, nutritional status, gait, pulse, blood pressure, temperature. Now examination will be divided into examination of the extragenital injuries and the examination of the genital injuries. Extragenital injuries all over the body part, look for any evidence of any mechanical injury in the form of bruises, abrasion, laceration, fractures, etc. And genital examinations. Genital examinations should be in the form of labia majora, labia minora, clitoris, vagina, cervix. And if required, age estimation based on the secondary sexual characteristics, whether depending upon the maturity of the breast as per Tanner staging, or for the development of the external genitalia or pubic hair growth. Tanner staging is also there for pubic hair growth and development of external genitalia. Dental examination involving the eruption of teeth, and ultimately you will also suggest for radiological examination for appearance and fusion of the secondary ossification center. So examination and age estimation. So this is the part of your examination. Now we are coming to the corroborative signs of rape or sexual assault, or in another way, corroborative signs of sexual intercourse. Corroborative signs means these are giving a supportive evidence of a sexual union or a sexual intercourse. Well, it may be rape, it may not be rape, but it gives a supportive evidence of sexual union. So corroborative signs means supportive evidences. So what are those corroborative signs of rape? Because this question may come as a long question during your examination. এটা আগেও পরীক্ষায় এসেছে, এটাকে একটা আলাদা কোয়েশ্চেন হিসেবে রেডি করে রাখবে। What are the corroborative signs of sexual intercourse, or what are the corroborative signs of rape or sexual assault? First corroborative sign of sexual union is coming from the evidence from seminal fluid. Evidence from seminal fluid কি বলছে? What are the areas where you can look for the evidence of seminal fluid following a sexual assault case if it is a fresh case. So medial aspect of thigh, pubic hairs, vagina of the survivor should be examined thoroughly for any evidence of seminal fluid, either by naked eye examination or you can take the help of an filtered ultraviolet lamp. Please remember, the presence of spermatozoa is only a proof of connection or sexual intercourse, not rape. That may be consensual, that may be non-consensual, against her will or with her will. So presence of spermatozoa is only a proof of sexual connection but not rape. And also the other way, their absence does not rule out the connection or sexual intercourse has not taken place. বোঝা গেল? The presence of spermatozoa যেমন প্রমাণ করে না রেপ হয়ে মানে রেপ হয়েছে, তেমনি অ্যাবসেন্স ও প্রমাণ করে না যে রেপ হয়নি। So it is only a corroborative evidence. You know that evidence becomes weaker or it disappears as the time passes, particularly after 36 hours. The spermatozoa is destroyed by mechanical elimination or by drainage, biological degradation or by physiological dilution, and that may produce a negative result. So with the progression of time, especially after 36 hours. In cases of the survivors of sexual assault, swab should be taken from mouth if you are getting a history of an oral intercourse, or from vagina following a vaginal intercourse, or from anus in following an anal intercourse. Depending upon the type of intercourse, you have to take the swab for seminal fluid. Swabs from vagina. After taking the swab, you can prepare a papanicular smear that gives the permanent record of the sperms, or you can inject 2 ml of normal saline into the posterior fornix of the vagina and can retrieve back as a vaginal aspirate and can be examined for the motile sperms. কি করে করতে হবে? Take a syringe attached with a rubber catheter. The tip of the rubber catheter introduced into the posterior fornix. Inject 2 ml of normal saline and retrieve back with the help of this rubber catheter and remove the rubber catheter and preserve the syringe with retrieved vaginal aspirate and should be sent to the forensic science laboratory for any detection of motile spermatozoa. And after that, 2 cotton tip swabs should be soaked with material from vaginal pool and air dried and should preferably be placed in a cardboard, not in a test tube. Then after taking the vaginal aspirate, you should take 2 vaginal swabs. One is the low vaginal swab, another is the high vaginal swab. কি করে নেওয়া হবে? The tip should be moistened with distilled water and should be introduced into the vaginal canal. One is from low vaginal, one is from high vaginal, and it should be preserved inside a cardboard box. Cardboard box না থাকলে test tube, but preferably should be in a cardboard box after drying. Otherwise there will be decomposition of the specimen. তুমি যদি dry না করে directly preserve করো, it will cause decomposition of the stain. Similarly, oral and rectal swabs should be taken and it should be sent to the forensic science laboratory. This is the papanicular smear after taking a vaginal swab that gives a permanent record of the sperms. Next corroborative sign of sexual union coming from the evidence from vaginal discharge, or in other way evidence coming from the presence of any sexually transmitted infection. So first corroborative sign was coming from the seminal fluid. Second corroborative sign is coming from the evidence from any vaginal discharge or evidence from any sexually transmitted infection. If the assailant is suffering from any venereal diseases like syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydial infection, trichomoniasis, or other infective conditions like HIV, hepatitis, he may transmit the infection to the survivor, which is a strong corroborative evidence of intercourse. And the opposite is also true. If the survivor is suffering from such infection following the sexual union, she may transmit the infection to the assailant. In gonorrhea, inflammation and abundant micropurulent discharge will be evident within 2 to 4 days following the sexual assault. Generally 2 থেকে 4 দিনের মধ্যে the sufferer will develop a purulent, micropurulent, abundant micropurulent discharge. In syphilis, indurated ulcer or chancre can be developed over external genitalia and it may take 2 to 3 weeks time. কি বলছে দেখো একটু বোঝার চেষ্টা করো। An initial negative smear may be of value if positive smear is obtained within few days of the assault, considering the incubation period. For example, a blood sample should be taken for serological examination for syphilis. An initial negative reaction may be of value if a positive reaction is obtained after 6 weeks. একটু সাজিয়ে গুছিয়ে যদি বলি, so again evidence is coming from vaginal discharge or evidence of sexually transmitted infection. তার মানে if the assailant is suffering from the sexually transmitted infection following the sexual intercourse, he will transmit the same infection to the survivor. Or if the survivor is suffering from any sexually transmitted infection, she will transmit, there is a chance that she will transmit the infection to the assailant. তাহলে ধরো following the sexual assault, a survivor is coming to you, an accused is also coming to you. During examination, it is found that the accused is suffering from syphilis. You have preserved the blood for serological examination of syphilis. Initial report comes negative. You have asked the survivor to come after 6 weeks, considering the incubation period of the syphilis, and after 6 weeks you are taking the sample and the report comes positive for syphilis. That means the infection is transmitted from the assailant to the survivor because the initial report was negative, followed by your getting a positive period for a particular infection considering the incubation period for the particular disease. So in indirect way it gives an evidence that sexual union has taken place. সেটা সার্ভাইভারের থেকে ভিকটিমের হতে পারে, সরি সার্ভাইভারের থেকে অ্যাকিউজডের হতে পারে, অ্যাকিউজডের থেকে সার্ভাইভারের হতে পারে. So considering the duration of the incubation period, if the survivor develops the same STI that is suffered by the accused, it gives an corroborative sign of sexual union. বুঝা গেল? So second evidence of sexual union comes from the sexually transmitted infection. So gonorrhea, abundant micropurulent discharge. In case of male and female, chancres following syphilis infection, next evidence corroborative sign is coming from the evidence of struggle. Evidence of struggle কি বলতে চাইছে? Signs of active resistance or defense may be present on the survivor's body. সে নিজেকে প্রোটেক্ট করতে গেছে, তার জন্য সে ডিফেন্স ইনজুরিজ মে বি ফাউন্ড ইন দ্য ফর্ম অফ কনটিউশনস, অ্যাব্রেশনস, তাই তো? Fingernail may be broken due to scratching the accused, and under the fingernail, if you take the nail clippings and scrapings of the survivor under the fingernail debris, you may found blood stain, fiber of cloth of the accused, hair of the accused, or skin fragments of the accused. So for that case, you have to preserve the nail clippings and scrapings of the survivor. And similarly, it should be collected from the accused also. So third corroborative sign is coming from the struggle. fourth corroborative sign of sexual union or sexual intercourse or rape is coming from the time of assault. Time of assault আমরা কি করে বার করব? So first time of assault is coming considering the time since infliction of injuries, if any injury is present. So what is the stage of healing during the time of examination? That gives a idea regarding the time of assault. So for example, first time of assault coming from the healing of the injuries, age of abrasion or color changes of the contusion can give an idea regarding whether the history is corroborating with the healing of the injury. Clear? So first is from wound healing. Second is from seminal fluid. Seminal fluid থেকেও আমরা কিন্তু time of assault সম্বন্ধে আইডিয়া করতে পারি। কিরকম? You know that the motility of the sperms inside the vagina is generally seen for 6 to 8 hours, maybe up to 12 hours, and in rare case up to 24 hours. তাই তো 6 থেকে 8 ঘন্টা নরমাল, 12 ঘন্টা অবধি পেতে পারি, ইভেন আমরা 24 ঘন্টা অবধিও পেতে পারি। Non-motile sperms may be detectable after 24 hours to up to 72 hours. So, if motile sperms are getting in the wet smear on the slide, you should comment that the intercourse has taken place within 24 hours. যদি motile spermatozoa পাওয়া যায়, তাহলে you can comment that the intercourse has taken place within 24 hours. But if non-motile sperms are present, then it is not possible to say exactly when the intercourse has taken place. You can only opine that the intercourse has taken place over 24 hours, but generally 48 hours, maybe up to 72 hours, considering the presence of non-motile sperms. You can say generally, safely you can say more than 24 hours, but less than generally 72 hours. You can comment. তার বেশি তুমি কিছু বলতে পারছো না। And third time of assault will come from the venereal diseases depending upon the incubation period, যেটা একটু আগে আমরা ডিসকাস করছিলাম। So time of assault can be ascertained from the healing of the injuries, from the motility of the sperms, from the presence of any venereal diseases. Clear? So that's all for the today's class. These are my references. বই থেকে পড়ো, যদি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকে জিজ্ঞেস করো, I will try to give you the proper answers. Thank you.